All right, we're going to talk about Center 3 in the Snow Tracks and Traces unit of ELF. And Center 3 here is called Follow the Footprints. And as it says on the outline here, you need some space for this one. But I think this is a really fun unit for the kids. First thing that you can look at here is talk about the different types of tracks to find and the different types of gaits that animals have. And there are several different folders with the same type of information to be able to talk to the kids about it several times, so hopefully they can remember the different types. But for instance, there's this chart here that gives the 4 different types: walking or trotting from animals like dogs and cats, canines, felines, the bounding, which would be something like a weasel, galloping, what those tracks look like for rabbits, mice, squirrels, those kind of animals, and then finally waddling down here at the bottom. So you can try to get them to remember the 4 different types of tracks here. And there's also a description of each of them that you could probably just either read over beforehand or read to the kids that has some detail on each of these different types of track patterns. There are some specific pictures here of the different types of animals, and it picks out a specific animal. For instance, the walker here is the white-tailed deer, and you can look at the actual prints themselves. It gives the sizes of the prints. You can talk about the specifics of the different animals, as Denise mentioned in the previous video about animals that walk with claws, without claws, etc. So you can really get into some detail if the kids are interested in the different animals, and there's a whole bunch of different charts here with animals. Finally, looking at the specifics of the different tracks here, there are cards with specific animals on them, and they say what kind of animal they are. For instance, this is a walker, and it gives the prints in a pretty detailed close-up view, so you can look at them. On the back, it tells you what animal it is, and gives you some detail about how that animal walks. So you can maybe give one of these to each of the kids and talk about a specific animal that they want to hear. Then we got 2 activities here. One says optional, so depending on what kind of time you have to get through both of them. The first one, where you're going to need some space, is in a folder called Felt Tracks. This is one where you get the kids to move around and try to leave tracks or follow tracks in each of the 4 different categories, which could be really fun with the kids. So, of course, you've got the galloping, bounding, waddling, and the walking and trotting tracks. And each of those types has a plastic bag with felt footprints in them. So for instance, this is the galloping bag, and you'll have a set of felt tracks that you actually lay out on the floor. So it'll tell you the small prints are for the the back legs, the large prints are for the front legs, and you lay out the tracks on the floor, and then each kid can actually try to follow the prints and see how easy or difficult it is to do for each different kind of track. It does say to put out 1 track at a time, just so they all don't get confused, which I think is probably a good suggestion here to make sure that it goes smoothly and see which ones are easy, which ones are more difficult for the kids to follow doing the felt track. So I think that'll be a really fun activity to do. And then finally, if you need something else to do, there are these rubbing plates that looks like there's a dozen or more different animals and crayons. So you can just take some paper and rub. It gives the specific print of the animal on the plate, so you can look at whether it has hooves or claws, etc., pads. It gives what the track looks like on the bottom, and then it gives a little rubbing of the whole animal itself. So a neat little take-home from ELF if the kids get a chance to do some rubbings there. So again, that's Center 3. Follow the footprints. Hopefully that'll be a lot of fun. Get the kids up and around and moving.